Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be diving into Red Hat Enterprise Linux, or RHEL in short. We are going to be diving into what it is, who uses it, and how to install it, so follow along. First off, what exactly is RHEL, and how is it different from all of the other Linux distributions out there? Before we get into that, let's take a quick step back and talk about Linux itself for those who are unaware. Linux is an open source operating system, kind of like Windows or Mac OS, but it's free, and anyone can modify it or share it. The heart of every Linux system is called the kernel, which is basically the core engine that lets the software communicate with the hardware. Now, since Linux is open source, different people and organizations have built their own versions of it over the years. These are called distributions, or distros in short. So when you hear names like Ubuntu, Fedora, or Kali, these are all different Linux distros, each one with its own goals, tools, and target users. So where does RHEL come in? RHEL stands for Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and it was a Linux distribution made by a company called Red Hat, which was founded back in 1993. In the early days of Red Hat, they made a general purpose Linux distribution, but in 2003, they split into two versions. One of the versions being Fedora, which is more fast, free, and cutting edge, kind of like their testing ground, I would say. And RHEL, which is built for stability, security, more long-term support. RHEL is mainly designed for businesses. It's the Linux you'll find running in data centers, banks, hospitals, and on cloud platforms like AWS and Azure all across the world. So what makes RHEL different from, you say, Ubuntu or Fedora or Kali? The big thing is that it's mainly designed for enterprise environments, places where downtime is extremely expensive and security is critical. Red Hat offers professional support, regular security patches, and certified compatibility with major hardware and software vendors, which is very important if you have your own enterprise or business. Each version of RHEL is supported for up to about 10 years, if I'm not mistaken, which is a huge deal for businesses that can't afford to upgrade every single month. Other distros might focus mainly on newer features, more cutting edge things, but RHEL is all about reliability and predictability. Now you might be wondering, if it's a commercial product, can one of us actually use it? And the answer is yes, totally. But before we get into that, let's go over some of the jobs you can land with some RHEL experience. If you've got some RHEL experience, or even just some general Linux knowledge, you'll be in a great position to land your first job in tech, or even transition from another field. The first job we're going to go over is being a junior Linux systems administrator, or a junior Linux sysadmin. As a junior sysadmin, your main task would be involving installing, configuring, and maintaining Linux systems alongside a sysadmin. You'll be handling user accounts, permissions, doing some basic scripting, and monitoring system logs. If you're comfortable in the terminal and can troubleshoot everyday issues, this could be a great fit for you. The next one would be an IT support tech with a Linux focus. This role will mainly be about helping users solve technical problems. You'll answer tickets, walk people through issues, and maybe even get hands-on with some Linux desktops or servers if you're lucky. The next one would be a DevOps or cloud support. In this role, you'll be assisting people with cloud services like Azure or AWS, work with pipelines and touch some Docker containers, or maybe even some shell scripting. The next one would be a technical support engineer for Linux-based products. Here, you'll be helping customers troubleshoot issues with Linux software or platforms. Companies that use or sell Linux-based products, pretty much they need people who can diagnose problems and communicate well with their clients. And if you enjoy problem solving and explaining technical stuff clearly, then this one might be for you as well. Number 5 would be cloud operations or some site reliability. This role would involve monitoring infrastructure, maintaining Linux servers, and using tools like Ansible for task automation. If you're learning infrastructure as code or cloud monitoring, this would be a great place to kickstart your career. And number 6, and last but not least, would be a data center tech. And you'll be working in a data center or a network ops center, keeping servers, including Linux machines, of course, up and running. You would pretty much expect a lot of hands-on work with hardware and remote monitoring tools. And if you like to work with physical remote servers and things like that, then you should definitely check this one out. I think Linux is a powerful skill, all in all, and RHEL experience makes you stand out nowadays. Now, let's get into installing RHEL into our personal computers. Alright, first we are going to start off by downloading VirtualBox. As you can see, I'm in Google, just typed in VirtualBox, and yeah, just follow along. VirtualBox is practically a free open source virtualization tool that allows you to run multiple instances or operating systems on your computer without having to change the main operating system that your computer uses. So for example, mine uses Windows, and maybe yours does too. And with VirtualBox, it allows you to create virtual machines, or in other words, VMs, which are self-contained operating systems that run as if they were separate computers. So within VirtualBox, we can have 10 different Linux servers or 10 different instances to where they all can be used for different things, and they all act as separate computers without actually having to have a different computer. So we're going to go in here, click download in the top right corner, and then you are going to select whatever host you use. If you're a Windows person like myself, you will select Windows. I'm not going to personally select it because I already have VirtualBox installed. But the moment you click this, it'll start downloading a exe file into the top right corner and to your downloads, and you're gonna click it, accept the changes, and once you accept the changes and it downloads, you should be able to open VirtualBox. So let's go open VirtualBox. Now mine looks a little bit different than yours because I've already had VirtualBox, obviously, and yours is probably going to be blank, which is okay. And that's how we get started with VirtualBox. So let's close VirtualBox, and now let's go into Red Hat. So let's go here. So now we're in Google. We typed in Red Hat Developer Program, so you guys can follow along here. And once you type in Red Hat Developer Program, it'll bring up a sponsored ad, sponsor link, where you can click this, but don't click this one. We're going to scroll down to click download RHEL at no cost. Just click this one. It is going to allow you to click this, download RHEL at no cost. Once again, let's click. And it'll prompt you to create an account. And I already have an account, so I'm just going to log into mine. But here you guys can create your own account. It's verifying. Let's log in. And the moment you log in, it should begin downloading an ISO file in the top left corner, which it is doing for me, although I already have RHEL installed on my computer. So we're gonna wait for that to download. While we're waiting for that to download, we can explain what an ISO file is. An ISO file, or an ISO image, is pretty much just a single file that is a digital copy of an entire CD or DVD or Blu-ray disc, and it contains the data and structure of a file system. And it's important to us in virtualization because it's the standard format used to distribute operating systems like a RHEL or Ubuntu or Windows, and virtual machines like in VirtualBox can mount these ISO files as virtual CDs, which lets you install the operating systems directly without needing the physical media to install it on your computer. But I don't know why I said we're gonna wait for this to install, because I already have it. But let's say we're waiting for you guys to install it. So hopefully you guys have it installed now. And we're going to go back and open VirtualBox, and we are going to select new. And let's just name this anything. New server. And we're going to go into the ISO image that we just downloaded. And you're going to click this Dropbox right here. Click that RHEL ISO file that you just downloaded. And it's going to autofill these things. So Linux, Red Hat 64-bit. And I personally skip unattended installation, but we can put in a username and password if you want, which will prompt you to log in to your machine when you open it, but I'll always skip it. So I'll push skip unattended installation. As for the hardware, I typically will always do 4 gigs, which would be 4096 megabytes. And for the processors, let's go do 2 cores. And always enable EFI. Let's check that. And for the hard disk, let's just put it at 30 gigs, which would be dynamically allocated. So once you do that, you push enter, and then you should be able to click it, and it'll start opening for you. And here we go, we're opening your first virtual machine. Let's push X right here. Let's go full screen. Let's use the down arrow, up arrow to maneuver through this. We're gonna click install Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9.5. Okay, once you push Red Hat Linux or install Red Hat Linux 9.5, it's going to take you to this screen where you can select your language. From here on out, we'll be using screenshots because for some reason my screen recording tool decided to stop working. So follow along. The next screen you will be brought to is the installation summary screen of Red Hat. This is part of the Anaconda installer, which is used during the setup of the operating system. So first, we're going to select connect to Red Hat so you can log into the Red Hat account that you created a couple minutes ago in the video. Once you click connect to Red Hat, you will come in here and you'll log into the Red Hat account you created, and you should be able to push register, and it should display a successful message when you are successfully connected and registered. And here we get the successful message. So we're going to click the blue done button in the top left corner to go back to the main summary menu. And here we are back at the installation summary menu. Next, we're going to go over to the installation configuration, and we are going to go into that and select our disk. Now we are here. We are going to select the virtual disk in the top left, maybe 2 or 3 times until that black check appears in the bottom right of it. It might take a couple of clicks. What this is, it's a virtual disk that will store your operating system files, user data, allow you to swap some space along with storing your installed applications. So we're gonna click the left button, the top left done button, and go back to the summary menu. Now that we're back at the summary menu, we're going to select our software selection. We're inside of our software selection now, and the only thing we are going to click is server with GUI. You may ask what these other options are and what they mean and how can we use them, and we can go into that on a later video. But just to start, the server with a GUI, because the GUI just stands for graphical user interface, which is where you'll have your windows, your icons, your menus. Just think of your typical computer like Windows, Mac OS, where you can click through everything instead of typing commands for everything. So it's where your buttons are, your taskbar, your Chrome, typical applications where you can see the icons, click into them, edit things, your file explorer, things of that nature. With something like a minimum install, you have nothing but your terminal. So it's a lot fully bare bones where it's nothing but your terminal. So if you want to download an application, you want to remove a user, you want to change some files around, it's all done in the command prompt. So as a beginner with not a lot of command experience, for now, we're just going to start off with a server with a GUI and just move forward from there. Now we're back on the installation summary screen. Here we're going to select root password. What your root is, it's practically the super user in Linux, or when you're typing commands, you'll be using sudo. This practically has full control over everything, like installing software, changing system files, managing users, things of that nature. This is something that has to be created because without it, you won't be able to install or update certain software, access specific system settings, or even fix problems. So the installer requires a root password before it'll let you continue so you can have those admin privileges. All right, so we are on the root password screen. Here you're going to put in a good password that you can remember and recite to yourself. And there should be a check mark in the box that says lock a root account. But for this video, I would advise that we disable that and not select it, because if it's checked, the root account will be locked or disabled for login, and you won't be able to log in directly even with your password. So you'll practically have to have a regular user account with sudo privileges or administrative privileges to do anything administrative, which is good, but we'll cover that in a later video. So we're going to leave it unchecked. So the root account remains inactive, and you could just log in directly as root. Since we're running this in a local environment, we're not really hosting anything. We're just trying to get a feel and understand things. So this would be really useful for like testing or like learning environments like a VirtualBox VM, which we are in now. And once you do that, you return to the installation summary, and then we can click the blue begin installation button. Now, this installation process takes a while. Depends on whatever. Sometimes for me it takes 2 minutes, sometimes it takes 15. So I will have some patience with this. Just wait it out. Once your installation has been completed, there will be a blue reboot system button in the bottom right corner, and we will select that and reboot the system. Once the reboot is successful, you will get prompted to this screen that says welcome to RHEL 9.5. Therefore, we can click the blue start setup button and move forward. I will click next in the top right corner here, skip in the top right corner here, and here you are going to want to create a user account that you can remember, of course, with your username and password. I don't put my full name or my first name into the name column. I just put my username. And here you will enter your password that you can remember and recite, and push the blue next in the top right corner. And there you have it. You have successfully installed Red Hat Enterprise Linux on your system. Feel free to click around, try to do some different things, and we will cover going more in detail about things in RHEL in the next video.